here. This will be available for viewing later, so certainly we welcome those of you who are watching this not in Facebook Live. We'll probably use, just as a heads up about future discussions, we'll probably keep these or put these discussions in a different platform. There certainly are some limitations as we experience here with Facebook Live, especially around the use of visuals and PowerPoint. So sorry about that, but excited to talk to you a little bit today about RIA's work specifically around carrier relations in its advocacy efforts. My name's Mark Springer. Good to see some familiar faces here on this Facebook Live. I am RIA's advocate for carrier relations. I've been working in this role now since the beginning of the year, and what an interesting year it's been so far as we delve into a facet of the advocacy work for RIA that we're excited to start to take action in, to start to take steps in. Of course, RIA, since the inception of the Advocacy and Government Affairs, or AGA effort back in 2019, there have been some big steps for restoration contractors. Our goal has been to unify the restoration industry around a common voice, and that's something that we've seen really resonate here in this modern era of the restoration industry, with some big strides taken for restoration contractors. We've seen significant progress in the areas of pricing platforms, as pricing platforms have received this industry feedback and voice is helped to make the pricing platforms more user-friendly, and certainly it's improved pricing to make sure that in many areas of the country it is meeting or being really addressed from a local basis in pricing. So that's been a major step. I was just talking earlier to another restoration contractor today that's with one of the national companies about the work that RIA was able to accomplish specifically in the area of third-party consultants. Major progress was made there as the industry was able to rally around the common third-party position statements that we had for third-party reviewers and third-party consultants. Tremendous progress made in that area as well. But what we've seen here recently over the last 1 to 2 years are major impacts to the restoration ecosystem in the area of the relationships that we have with insurance carriers. Last year we asked our members about their top frustrations. What are the top frustrations that you face right now in your restoration company? And we heard loud and clear that some of the top issues that our members face relate specifically to insurance carriers, especially around issues related to communication. We are finding more and more that contractors are having significant challenges in that communication interface with the carriers. A lot of restoration contractors are expressing to us that they simply are not getting return phone calls, emails, or finding any place that they can communicate effectively or efficiently with the insurance carriers. We're also seeing ongoing challenges with adjusters that are mandating or dictating prices, many creating their own price lists and requiring the use of their price lists if contractors are working on claims that relate to their policyholders or to their customers. We also are seeing a massive issue with the amount of time it's taking to get paid. Cycle times, some express this as DSO, days sales outstanding, but we have seen an exponential increase in the amount of days that it's taking for contractors to get paid for the claims that they complete. This is worse for those contractors that specialize or work in commercial claims. We're seeing the amount of cycle time for residential claims being over 80 days as an industry average. For commercial claims, we're seeing averages as high as 150 days. So just under 6 months to get paid for claims that folks have where there is a commercial interest. All of these issues that relate to carriers have created a scenario where we have really realized that now is the time for us to start to step into the relationships in a proactive manner on behalf of the industry with insurance carriers. Now, of course, this is a major challenge because in many cases, the challenges that we face as a restoration industry have really built over time. We've seen a degradation of the communication happen slowly. It's happened over a long period of time, probably decades. We haven't seen a common platform where we can have communication or be able to express the challenges faced by the restoration contractors in a common platform to the carriers. So the problem where we stand right now is one that certainly has developed over time. It's one that's become a challenge over time, and one that we recognize as we face the carrier industry, which is very large, over 5.2 trillion in size, a problem that we probably are not going to see an immediate resolution to, but one that we need to step into, and we need to be able to work proactively to address these challenges. Now, as we address these challenges, I want to be very clear as we step into talking about some of these issues that we intend to address. First of all, we know that right now there has been a total breakdown in the communication that we have with the insurance carriers, and there isn't a place where we can communicate with them. So we want to be able to start by being able to have a conversation, to be able to build bridges and common ground with the carriers so that we can have a discussion about some of these issues that our members express to us. But before we get into some of those ways and some of those strategies, which here on this Facebook Live, I'll be looking at your questions. We'll be talking about some of this strategy here in real time, answering questions in real time. I want to make sure that we're very clear about a couple of things. First of all, as we talk about the strategies that we will be employing at the Restoration Industry Association, ones that the board of directors is moving forward with and that they have approved, we want to be clear that this will be over time a very long-term strategy. These are not things that we will be able to solve overnight. We do expect that there will be opportunities to see improvement in the near future. But again, the challenges that we face today have developed over a long period of time. It will likely take quite some time, especially for an industry like ours that's much smaller than the carrier industry. It will take us time to be able to build these bridges and to be able to build common communication and trust so that we can begin to solve some of these problems. That's one of the things that is very important for all of us to recognize. One of the other pieces it's very important for us to recognize is this is not a simple one-step strategy. There are multiple areas where we will need to work together under a common voice to be able to make progress. And folks, a lot of this starts with us as contractors, and this is one of the areas that I would have loved if you have the ability to see the little slide deck that I put together. You could jump down to the fourth slide and look at there some of the things that contractors need to be able to do before we can even talk about how do we advocate for contractors' benefit directly to the carrier. Really at the outset, what we want to be clear about is that it's important for contractors to be able to educate themselves and to be able to improve their professionalism and their proficiency in this trade by aligning with best practices in the industry, and there's many of those opportunities right here at RIA. There are tremendous opportunities. If you're not an RIA member and you're here on this call today, you should join RIA right away. We've made the accessibility and the cost of joining RIA to be very, very affordable. Not much more for someone who's just joining RIA. It's not much more than getting a Netflix subscription. So there's no reason why any restoration contractor would not be a part of RIA. And one of the first things that you can do is begin to get involved by going to the events that RIA has available. to be able to interact with other contractors, network with other contractors, and be able to educate yourself. Really, RIA's mission is to be able to accomplish three things on behalf of the industry. We want to be able to educate the industry, and it's through these education events that contractors can improve their company and be able to better operate and really get better in a lot of these areas that are causing frustrations. So we want to educate our members, we want to advocate for our members, and then we want to be able to elevate the entire restoration industry. So by doing this, by aligning with us, by educating yourself, and one of those ways, again, if you're looking at the slides there, you can see on the fourth slide that one major opportunity for education is not only going to events, but through AGA Academy. AGA Academy provides enormous resources, especially and specifically for these issues that you may be dealing with directly with an insurance carrier. There is tremendous resources there on pricing, on dealing with custom price lists. There are, again, I referenced earlier the position papers that deal with third-party consultants, tremendous resources there. There's information about utilizing contracts properly with things like assignment of benefits, which may be a tool that will be appropriate for your business. But if you take advantage of these resources that are out there on the AGA Academy, you will find that there is enormous opportunity to improve your business and to be able to work effectively with some of the challenges that you may be experiencing in your company. Now, I'm always surprised when I travel around and talk to RIA members or speak at RIA events. I'm always surprised at how few people actually take advantage of these resources. But there are tremendous resources that if you use your RIA login, go to the website and utilize those education and tools, you will have tremendous benefit. One of those that I believe is tremendously beneficial is also RIA's accounting guidelines. Folks, we have a tremendous challenge in our industry with a common voice around our costs and around some of the specifics that deal with operating a restoration company. It's very important that our members complete things like the cost of doing business report and also use tools like the accounting guidelines, which can help dramatically improve not only your operation of your restoration company, but also the information you have about how you can run it better and how we can actually ascertain trends in the industry that are important for us to be able to drive the industry forward. Now, one of the next areas that folks can also take advantage of, it's very important that we grow as an industry, is in our professionalism. Now, there are certainly challenges as I have begun to interact with senior VPs of claims for various carriers, as I interact with national brokers, as I interact with people that are on the other side of the fence from where we stand and where I've stood for over 30 years as a restoration contractor. It's very interesting for me to get some of their perspective around some of the challenges that they face in their respective industry. Now, one of the things that is very different between the restoration industry and the insurance carriers is that we have in our industry very little regulation. The insurance carriers, on the other hand, have a high degree of regulation. There's a lot of areas where the insurance carriers have very specific rules that they have to follow, whereas we on the restoration contractor side, depending on the state that we operate in, have quite a bit less or much fewer regulations that we face. As we look at these issues, and I've certainly heard from carriers some of the challenges that they face, and I think even we all would acknowledge that in our respective communities that we work in, there are some challenges that we face with other restoration contractors that maybe haven't been in the industry for a very long time, or maybe those that just don't share the same long-term view for their companies, or maybe they aren't as concerned about their, we'll just say, reputation in the communities, that have caused some problems for all of us. Now, I was talking with a few other long-term legacy RIA members. One of them was my friend Norris Gearhart recently. We were talking about some of the things that we've seen after we step out of the industry for a little while. Some of us have done some work in litigation support, and we've seen cases where there are disputes with restoration contractors. Recently, I was looking at one of these cases where there is a litigation dispute here in my home state of Montana, and it's quite appalling sometimes to see some of the things that happen in our industry that gives our entire industry a black eye. In this case, there was a home that was sold. After the home was sold, the out-of-state buyer decided that they had some remorse about the high real estate prices in Montana and entered into a dispute with the person that bought the home previous, or who owned the home previously, I should say. And in that case, litigation emerged, and there was a restoration contractor that came into what I would say would be a very small amount of fungal contamination in this home. Just a few leaks underneath a couple of vanities in this home. The restoration contractor, however, didn't see it that way, and they proceeded to demolish almost the entirety of the entire, as we would say in the industry, they gutted the entirety of the inside of the property. With very little evidence of fungal contamination, resulting in remediation and demolition invoices of over $1 million. Now, the home likely wasn't even worth $1 million. As I looked at this whole file, I was so struck with how little documentation existed in this file. I was amazed at the cost of what happened, and ultimately, and unfortunately, really the lack of value that existed for anyone. Again, likely this home wasn't even worth $1 million, that it was entirely gutted before even any repair commenced. So I see situations like this, and I know all of us see situations like this where there is something awful that happens in our industry that gives all of us a black eye. Certainly RIA right now in its work that it does to support and defend restorers from legislation that may affect them in their various states. We are seeing many cases of reactive legislation where legislation has been filed and sponsored that is intended to deal with a specific issue where there was a contractor who did something in a community that was no good, and it resulted in legislation that may affect all of us negatively. We don't want to see that happen. Certainly, we are seeing a lot of the companies that we work with, a lot of the carriers experiencing the same thing, and we believe that it is very important to differentiate in our industry professional contractors from contractors that do not follow a code of ethics, who do not have the interest of either their community, their customer, or other stakeholders in the claim as their first priority. Now, this isn't to say that there isn't another side to some of these stories, but I think all of us who have worked in this industry for a long period of time understand that we do have some major challenges that need to be addressed. So how do we address these issues? If you jump over in that slide deck that I mentioned that you have, RIA now is proceeding with a 5-step ethical framework to address some of these issues. And really what I want to be able to discuss with you today, and we'll address some of these questions that you all may have about RIA's strategy to how do we really work to address 2 fundamental challenges in our industry. One issue is we know that our industry needs some cleaning up. We need to be able to see a differentiation between professional restoration contractors and what my friend Mark Davis calls the pirates and the cowboys in the industry, that we do not share common ground with, and that I think we all who are professionals who've been in this industry for many years want to see end. We want to see differentiation, and we want to see those contractors not giving all of us a black eye. So how do we address that issue while at the same time beginning a dialogue with the insurance carriers to begin to build trust? Frankly, as I talk to many of the senior claims VPs, with various insurance carriers in the country, one of the fundamental challenges, and folks, what I believe is at the core, a lot of the issue with many of these communication challenges we face, there has been broken trust between the insurance industry and the restoration contractors that service the claims and the mutual customer that we both have. Now, this is not to say, I want to be very clear, to say that the insurance carrier's behavior in many cases is excusable. We've seen many cases where carriers have not been responsive to our customer, their policyholders' challenges. We've seen a lot of challenges with adjuster turnover. Ever since COVID, we've seen many brand new adjusters who simply don't have the experience to handle the claims that can often be very challenging. This is not to say or excuse when we talk about restoration ethics, any of that behavior. But folks, again, what I believe is this. There is broken trust, and we have an opportunity to be able to deal with a couple issues right now, our own issues that we have within our industry, and building trust with the carriers. Now, if we can build trust with the carriers, if we can start to have a conversation, if we can start to talk about these issues that face all of us in a place that is proactive, in a place that is focused on solving problems, and many of the carrier representatives that I talk to, they see the same challenges. They want to solve these. Whether or not they will be able to help us and that what they're expressing is genuine, time will tell. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and start to see areas where we can work together to solve these problems. Now, how do we do this? How do we start? The first thing we do in this 5-step strategy that RIA is embarking on is we know we need to address some of the ethical challenges within our industry. RIA's board of directors has approved a revision and an update of its code of ethics, which hasn't been dealt with for over 20 years. It was put in place when RIA was formed, when it went from ASCR into RIA back in 2007. So we're coming up on 20 years. That actually may have been 2006. We're coming right up on 20 years since there's been any meaningful revision. So RIA's board of directors has approved a revision to this to update to address the very specific issues that in many cases are plaguing our industry. Now, the next step that we will be taking is to get feedback from the carriers on these very specific steps that we will be taking to revise our code of conduct or code of ethics. This is how we bring many of the carriers to the table to be able to begin some of these discussions and dialogues about how we can solve some of the bigger challenges that we all face. As I talk with carriers about these specific issues, I have received two basic pieces of feedback on this. The first is, we are so impressed that your industry is beginning to address these things, and we commend you for taking these proactive steps. Number two, we understand that we have some challenges on our side that need to be addressed as well, and we believe that in having communication, we can begin to facilitate a dialogue to address some of these issues. Now, there are hundreds of insurance carriers that exist right now in the property claims or property policies, property casualty side of the industry. When we talk about the very large insurance industry, we're not talking only about property casualty. We understand it goes much larger than that, and property casualty is just one subset of that. But within that side, we want to see a place where, although it's been tried before and failed, we can begin to have communication in this respect. The next step that we will take once we have received feedback from the carriers, we will continue to meet with and engage with the carriers around the issues that we specifically face. We have formed a carrier representative task force to begin to address these issues. We anticipate between 10 and 15 carrier representatives who will represent the carrier industry as we begin to have discussion around these issues. Thus far, we have commitments from somewhere between 10 and 12. I'd have to get the exact number, 10 and 12 carrier representatives who will be engaging with this to start to advance and address these challenges. We expect that there will be somewhere between 3 and 5 more carrier representatives who will be joining us. Right now, we have many who are exploring and evaluating whether or not they will begin to participate with RIA on this initiative. Once we have completed the update of our code of ethics, the next step that we will be taking is to educate all of our members. This will be provided at no cost to our members. It will be an on-demand education training program that you will be able to easily facilitate to at least one person, which will be required for every single RIA member. But our hope is that our entire membership will be able to participate in this education that will be available to them at no cost. We hope that every single RIA member will use this as part of their onboarding and orientation for new employees and team members within their organizations. Our hope is to see meaningful elevation, not just the discussion within our mission about elevating the industry, but concrete steps taken to elevate our industry through this initiative. Now, the next step that we'll have is actually a compliance piece. We have to be able to not only talk about our members elevating the industry through an enhanced code of ethics, but we have to make sure that this happens. This is the area of significant differentiation and how we actually put action to seeing these steps taken in a meaningful way. Finally, we intend not only to have these pieces implemented within our membership with concrete enforcement, but we also want to raise across the entire industry, not just in the restoration industry, but amongst the carriers, amongst the adjusters, amongst the insurance commissioners, amongst really the entire ecosystem, a thought leadership around the code of ethics and what ethical behavior means for the entire claims process. This is why we will be providing our members with toolkits and resources to be able to do continuing education credit courses in their own communities on these issues so that we have one industry voice that addresses all of these issues in a way that can bring about meaningful change. Now, as we move forward with this, and I'm going to start looking here at questions we may have from folks who are joining us on Facebook Live, it's important that all members are joining with us in this discussion. There are 3 opportunities this fall for you to participate. I want to hear directly from you. If you have a person who's a contact with a large carrier or regional carriers are important to us as well. If you have a contact that you think would be able to help us, I'm looking for carrier representatives who are proactive and contractor friendly to begin to solve these problems. Please join us at one of these 3 networking events that are coming up. The first one is the Mid-South Cleaning and Restoration Association. Mid-South is one of the great regional trade associations for the restoration industry. I'll be speaking there not only about carrier relations and advocacy for RIA, but also be talking about exiting your business. We'll have about a half-day workshop, a couple-hour workshop on preparing your business for exit. So excited to be able to bring that to the Mid-South group, October 16th and 17th. So look forward to seeing you in Charlotte there for that. McCabe Restoration in Memphis, Tennessee will be hosting on October 29th a AGA networking event. I'll be there seeking your feedback, as well as at Thomasville Restoration, November 12th in Baltimore, Maryland. That will be our final AGA networking event. So 3 opportunities that we would welcome our members to. Hope you can join us. Hope you can join us for this discussion. Listen, I know that there are a lot of folks who have varying perspectives on how we engage with carriers. I think that there's merit to a lot of those different strategies. Certainly at RIA, we are looking for a way that we can speak for the entire industry in a way that can bring about meaningful change. That means that we have to have a very narrow focus in how we address this issue. But I welcome your feedback. You can email me at any time. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to have a discussion with you about this. If you're passionate in helping to improve our industry in this respect, I want to have a conversation. You can reach me at mspringer@restorationindustry.org. If you grab the slide deck, you'll see that email address there. and we can absolutely set up a time to have a conversation. We can jump on a Google Meet to talk about this if you have feedback for me and how we can make, again, our industry better, more sustainable, and better for the next generation. So with that all being said, I'm going to jump down and look here to see if we've got any questions or feedback from folks. I am not wanting to just have a one-way conversation. So if anyone has comments, feedback, criticism, hey, I welcome it here. So let's see here. Not seeing any questions on here. Christy, you text me if we've got anyone. Apparently, we've got, let me check my phone here too to see if anyone's on here. We've got everyone just 100% in alignment, it sounds like. I'll give just a second here to see if anyone pops a question, a comment, or any other feedback here. One other item that's highlighted there, encourage folks to take advantage of the early bird pricing for RIA's annual convention. That will be in Savannah, Georgia, next April 27th to 29th. You get a significant discount if you go register early. I think it's about half price. It may not be exactly half price, but it is a significant discount. We will be having several panels with carriers getting feedback from them around specific issues that our members want to have questions answered on. So looking forward to having that opportunity next spring as well. All right, I see we got a comment here from Restore Right. I'll be getting in contact with you, Christy, and Mark to add help. Look forward to help here. I'm just going to post my email address in the chat so that anyone that needs it, that didn't get it, has that. And I think that's spelled right, mspringer@restorationindustry.org. For those who joined today, thank you for joining in. Not seeing any comments, not seeing anyone looking like they're wanting to offer any criticism yet. Christy just put a comment in here. Mark, do you want to share some more details about how you will be sharing progress updates as you make progress? Yes, Christy, thank you. So Facebook Live here obviously has some major technology challenges. We likely will not be doing this on Facebook Live in the future, but we will be starting with a monthly update that will be in a podcast format. We'll make that available on podcast platforms that exist out there, Spotify, I think the Apple podcast, I can't remember what the name of that platform is, but we will be bringing some of our carrier representative task force members on to have conversations with them about their perspective on our industry and areas that they would encourage us to engage with them, offer some kind of behind the curtain ways to look at how we can better serve our mutual customer. We'll also be bringing other RI updates on especially legislative issues that we are lobbying for and speaking into the industry on your behalf for in that podcast format. That'll probably start sometime in August. So looking forward to bringing that new communication channel available to our members a little bit later on. Danielle Knights just posted non-member pricing for Savannah $13.60, early bird pricing $6.99. So it is just about half price if you're a member to do the early bird pricing. So folks, encourage you to do that. Last couple years, we've sold this event out. The convention gets sold out. Avoid the disappointment of having to find a hotel across town. I encourage you to sign up now, take advantage of the early bird pricing, and then also get your hotel locked down as well, so you can get the not only the best price, but be right there on property where the event is held. All right, folks, thank you guys for joining us today. We're out of time, but always appreciate the opportunity to talk about what RIA is doing. Reach out to me anytime. Welcome your feedback.